Hello students. In this video, let us continue our lesson, The Living World. In our previous video, we had learned about the different characteristics of living beings and we were talking about the food of living beings. In this video, let us start with the food of animals. Unlike plants, animals do not prepare their own food. They depend on plants and other animals for food. Therefore, animals are called as heterotrophs. So heterotrophs means, hetero means other and troph means food. Living beings that do not prepare their own food, that is, that do not have the ability to prepare their own food, but depend on other living beings for food are called as heterotrophs. All animals do not eat the same type of food. Based on the food they eat, the animals are classified as follows. We have three different categories of animals based on the food they eat. First, we have the herbivores. Herbivores are the animals that eat only plants and plant products. If you can think of examples for each of these subcategories, you can think about them. In the next section, we will talk about the examples for each of these, okay? The next category is carnivores. Carnivores are animals that eat other animals. So they eat the flesh and meat of other animals, they hunt them down and they consume them. Next we have the omnivores. Omnivores are the animals that eat both plants and animals. Now let us see some examples. With the help of the pictures, list out herbivore, carnivore and omnivore in the chart below. So we have pictures of different animals. We need to classify them into their respective groups. Let us start with the first two diagrams. We have a lion and a tiger. So we know that lions and tigers are predators in the wild. They hunt down and they eat other animals. So we know that they are flesh eating and they are carnivores. Lion and tiger. In the next picture we have the elephant. Although elephant is a very big animal, it is actually a herbivore. It does not consume any animal products. It only eats a plant-based diet. So elephant is a herbivore. Next we have foxes. Foxes are animals that eat both animals and plant-based products. So they are known to eat some types of fruits like berries, etc. So foxes are omnivores. They also eat smaller animals like rabbits and other birds. Next we have the bear. So bears are also omnivores because they eat both plant products and animal products. Bears like different types of fruits. Next we have the sparrow. Although the sparrow looks very small, it also eats other animals such as insects. So it finds and it eats insects and it also eats plant-based diet including fruits and vegetables. So we have sparrow in omnivore section. Next we have the dog. So dogs also follow an omnivorous diet where they eat meat products as well as plant-based products such as food grains, milk, etc. Although milk is not exactly a plant-based diet, we can argue that because it is not directly consuming the flesh or the meat of an animal that has been killed for its flesh or meat, we can argue that it is not exactly a carnivorous diet. So we can say that dogs are omnivores. Next we have parrots. Parrots are other birds that are also omnivorous. They eat insects as well as they are very popular to like chilies. So they, among other plant-based products, they really like chilies. An interesting fact about parrots is that apparently they cannot taste the spiciness of chilies, which is why they like chilies so much. We have parrots in the omnivorous section. Next we have the bunny rabbits. So rabbits, they eat grass and other plants. So rabbits are herbivores. Finally, we have cat. So you might be thinking because dog is an omnivore, cat can also be an omnivore. However, cats, that is domesticated cats, like the big cats. So you should know one thing, all these cats, that is lions and tigers, they all come into the cat family. Okay, so all these cats, they are carnivorous. They do not have any plant-based products in their daily diet. So cats, that is home cats, are also carnivorous. So these are the different categories of animals based on their food habits. We have just learned one characteristic about living beings, that is living beings eat food. It is time for a quiz. The question is, which category of animals do sharks belong to? Are sharks herbivores, carnivores, or omnivores? If you need time to think, you can pause the video. The answer is sharks are carnivores. So as you can see here, sharks have very sharp teeth which helps them to tear through the flesh of their prey. They feed on smaller fish, seals, sea lions and other marine mammals and animals. So this is the diet of sharks, and sharks are carnivores. Now let us move on to the next characteristic. Living beings grow. Observe the pictures given below. So you have a man in different stages of his life, a baby, a child and an adult. We have a tree in different stages of its life where it starts from a seed, then develops a shoot, then becomes a sapling, and then we have a full-grown tree. Next we have a hen that starts as an egg, becomes a chick, and then becomes a full-grown hen. These pictures show the growth of that particular organisms. In every picture there is an increase in height and size. So you can see that there's an increase in the size of the organisms as they grow. This is called as growth. So growth is the gradual increase in an organism's size throughout their life cycle. Let me show you another image. So here we have a very small puppy that is growing into a full-grown dog. Dogs reach their final or their adult size in a span of a year or a year and a half. And the lifespan of a dog is 10 to 13 years on an average. So different living beings have different lifespans and they take different years to reach their full size. In case of human beings, we take around 16 to 18 years to reach our full height. Whereas in dogs, they reach their full size at an age of 12 to 18 months, that is 1 to 1.5 years. We also have other living beings such as this fly. So this is known as the fruit fly. And the lifespan of the fruit fly is just 40 to 50 days. So it lives only for 40 to 50 days. And it takes only a week or 2 weeks to reach its full adult size. So different animals take different times to grow. Now, once we have learned that, let us go back to our lesson and let us try to answer the exercise. Certain statements related to growth are given below. If the statements are correct, put a tick mark. If not, put a cross mark. Correct and incorrect statements. Correct the incorrect statements and write. All organisms are small at the time of birth, later acquire definite height and size. So this is the definition of growth. All organisms start out small and they reach their height and size after a definite time. So this is a correct statement. Let us go to the next statement. Growth takes place rapidly in 1 or 2 days. So we have learned that different organisms take different times to reach their full grown stages, and so this statement is incorrect because growth is not a rapid process. Growth is a gradual process. Growth is a gradual process that takes specific times for each organism. Okay, so growth is not a rapid process, instead it's a gradual process. The next statement is plant growth is observed at its stem tip or the size of stem. So I've removed the latter part of the sentence because it does not make sense or is incomplete. So let us consider the statement to say whether correct or incorrect to be the first half only. Let us put a full stop here. So plant growth is observed at its stem tip. Let me show you a GIF file. So here we have plants that are starting from seeds, and this is a time-lapse image, which means that it is not going according to real time, it is fast forwarded by a number of times. So we can see that the seed initially becomes a small shoot, which then grows up and it is developing leaves and is becoming a full-grown plant. So if you see carefully, we can see that the growth is concentrated at this area, that is the tip of the stem. However, you can also see the roots that are developing. So any plant, it has 2 points of growth. One is the tip of the root and the other is the tip of the shoot or the stem. So our statement which says that plant growth is observed at its stem tip is correct. However, it is also observed in roots. Okay, so that is the last statement of that exercise. So this is about the characteristic about how living beings grow. Let us look at the next characteristic. Living beings move. Observe these pictures. Which living characteristic do they indicate? So here we have a group of fish. A group of fish can be called as a school of fish. It's a collective noun we can use to call a group of fish. So here we have a school of fish that is swimming in the water. Next we have a diagram of a frog that is leaping. We have a bird that is flying. We have a snake that is crawling on the ground. There's an image of a horse that is walking. And we have human beings or children that is walking as well. So we can say that all these indicate the characteristic that living beings move. Yes, all these are related to movement. Movement is a living characteristic, especially of animals. So let us look at movement of animals. We have a different section for movement in plants. So the movement in plants and movement in animals are very different. Let us see how they are different and let us find out more about movement in animals. Animals move from one place to another. They have special organs for this. So organs that help in movement are called as locomotive organs, and movement is also called as locomotion. Okay, so some animal names are given below. Write their organs of movement here. So organs of movement are locomotion organs or locomotive organs. Let us see which are the organs that help these animals to move. So we have human beings. We know that we walk with the help of our legs. So we need legs to walk. Eagles are birds and their organs of locomotion are wings. So eagles fly with the help of their wings, but they also have legs to help them land and walk on the ground as well. Next we have kangaroos. Here you can see a GIF file of a kangaroo that is running. Kangaroos have very strong forelegs, very strong back legs that is. So we have back legs of kangaroos here. In any organism, the two limbs that are behind, they are called as hind limbs or back limbs, and the two limbs that are in front, they are called as forelimbs. And kangaroos are very strong. Kangaroos have very strong hind limbs, as you can see here. So kangaroos move with the help of their legs. Next we have bats. Let me show you an image of bats as well. So as we can see here, bats have leathery wings. They fly with the help of their leathery wings. So bats have wings that help them move. Also, if you can see in this image, bats have wings. However, bats also have legs. They're not visible in this image. But if you can see here, we can see that the forelimbs of bat are modified into wings, and the hind limbs, they're modified as legs. So bats have both wings and legs. Next, why do animals move? Discuss in groups and write in the space below. So I will leave this activity to you, but I will give you some tips about the points you can think about. Number 1, if animals could not move, where could they get their food from? So think about animals like cow, which need to go and find grass to eat. Number 2 is if animal is being in danger, that is, if it is being chased by a predator, then how would it escape if it did not have organs of locomotion and if it could not move? So these are the 2 points you can think about. I will leave this activity to you. Next, we have an activity here. Think, cars and buses run on road, hands in a clock move circularly, rivers and streams flow. So these are all examples of different non-living beings showing movement. So we have vehicles that move, and even if you see a clock that is an analog clock, we see that the hands in the clock move, and we have nature forces like rivers and streams flowing. Do they have life? What is the difference between the movement of living beings and non-living things? So this is a fundamental difference that we need to make between living and non-living beings. That is, living beings act according to their own will. Living beings act according to their own will. This means that living beings move because they want to move. Let me give an example where inside a building we have human beings and we have non-living things such as the clock, a fan. We can see that there is movement in clock and a fan also. However, if something happens in the building, like if the building catches on fire, then the living beings, they exit the building as a response to what is happening in their environment. However, the non-living beings, they cannot do that. They cannot act according to their environment and they cannot act according to their own will. They either move according to the mechanism, that is cars and buses, they are designed to run on the roads. And hands of a clock, they run on the battery, that is, they are designed to move circularly. And rivers and streams, they follow the nature's path and they move because of they move downstream because of the difference in the elevations or because of winds. So none of these things they move because they want to. However, in living beings, it's always because they move to act according to their will or they move as a response to something that is happening in the environment. Let me move this here so we can answer the next question. So the next section is plants do not have organs for movement as in animals. As soil holds the roots of plants, they cannot move from one place to another. Still, we observe the following movement in plants. Roots grow towards water in soil. Sunflower plant turning towards the sun. So, we have learned that there is a difference between movement in plants and movement in animals. Let me tell you the two different kinds of movements that we see in living beings. We have learnt about locomotion. This is the movement of the entire body. This means that if a living organism is moving and their entire body is also moving with them, this is called as locomotion. However, movement is both the movement in one body part or the entire body. So instead of saying movement here, you can also say displacement in position. The understanding here is if a living being is displacing its entire body from one place to another, it is called as locomotion. However, if there is only movement in some parts of the body, it is called as movement. An example is if we stand up and if we walk from one place to another, it is called as locomotion. However, if we sit on a chair and if we are moving our hands, it is called as movement. So in animals, we see locomotion and movement, whereas in plants, we only see movement because, as we are saying here, the soil holds the roots of the plants and they cannot move from one place to another. So in plants, we can only see movement. Let me show you a GIF file of these two things. So here we can see that the roots, they're going downwards and they're growing to find minerals and water in the soil. Next, let us see the sunflowers. Here is a sunflower plant. We can't actually see the flower clearly, but it is present over here. And as we can see, it starts facing the sun and as the sun moves across the sky, the plant is also following the sun. So this is how we can see movement in plants. It is very different from movement in animals because unlike animals, plants cannot move from one place to another. The next activity is going to help us see this phenomenon where plants need sunlight in real time. So keep a potted plant in a room. Let light pass in through a window. Observe it after some days. Observe the direction towards which the leaves have bent. So if we do this, if we keep a plant in a room and if we let the sun only through one source, that is only through a window, then the leaves is facing towards the window. Why does this happen is because plants need the sunlight to prepare their food. So we have learned that plants are autotrophs and they need raw materials including sunlight to prepare their food. So to get as much as sunlight as possible, the leaves they try to face towards the sun. The next activity is, so you need to think if plants had legs like you, what would have happened? So we have to think about this situation where if plants could also locomote, that is if plants could also move from one place to another, then what would happen? I will leave this thinking exercise to you. So the next characteristic of living beings that we are considering is living being excrete. So excretion is the process of removing unwanted materials from the body. Many activities take place in the body of organisms. As a result, things which are unwanted for the body are also generated. These have to be thrown out of the body. If not, the body gets affected. Animals throw out unwanted things of the body in the form of carbon dioxide, sweat, feces, and urine. So these are the unwanted materials that we get rid of from our body. They have special organs for this purpose. So similar to movement and locomotion, living beings also have special organs for excretion. Plants also give out carbon dioxide during respiration. Dry leaf, stem, rotting parts, all these separate from the plants. So all these things, that is dry leaves, the stem after it has become dry, and different rotting parts of the plants are also unwanted to the plant, and the plant will get rid of them. They release excess water. So whenever the plant absorbs water from its leaves, if the water is excess, they release it to the atmosphere. That is, they release it to the outside world through the leaves. So these are the different ways through which animals excrete. Next, we have an experiment. Take a potted plant, cover the plant with a plastic cover and tie it tightly at the stem portion. So as we can see here, there is a plant and there is a plastic cover. To do this experiment successfully, we need to make sure that we are tying it very tightly over here. Okay, and if you do carry out this experiment, make sure that you're not crushing any leaves of the plant so that we do not harm the plant. Once we do this, keep it in the sunlight for 1 to 2 hours. Make sure you don't keep it for longer periods of time, just keep it for an hour or 2. Observe the plastic cover closely and share your observation in the class. So let me show you what happens if this experiment is carried out. Here we have a plant that has a plastic cover tied to it, and we can see that there is water droplets that is collecting on the inside of the cover. So where did this water come from? Make sure that you're using a dry plastic cover when you're carrying this experiment out. If the plastic cover is dry, then where did this water come from after 1 to 2 hours? We just learned that plants get rid of excess water from the leaves. So this process is part of excretion in plants, and you can see that it is collected in the leaves. So this is about the characteristic of excretion in plants. The next characteristic that we are learning about is living beings reproduce. Observe the organisms and their young ones in the above pictures. Young ones of each organism resembles that respective organism which give birth to them. So here we can see a baby and its mother, and we can see a cow and calf. We can see a very cute picture of dog and its puppies, chicken and a hen and its chicks. We can see duck and ducklings. We can see a lioness with her lion cubs. The process of an organism giving birth to young ones which resemble it is called as reproduction. So reproduction is the process by which an organism gives birth to young ones which resemble it. So through the process of reproduction, animals and other living beings, they produce organisms that are similar to themselves. Let us learn more about reproduction by doing this activity. Given below are statements related to reproduction. If the statements are correct, put a tick mark. If the statements are wrong, put a cross mark. Organisms continue their generation by reproduction. So this is correct. This is right. Organisms, they continue their generation by giving birth to young ones. This is how an organism ensures that its species does not die out. So if an organism stops reproducing, that is, if all the living beings of a particular animal breed, they stop reproducing, what happens is that species of animal or that species of organisms, they stop existing and they go extinct. So in order for us to ensure that an organism does not go extinct, they need to continue their generation by reproduction. Due to reproduction, the other organisms in environment get food. So this is not a direct correlation. However, imagine this: if deer stopped reproducing, then predators like lions and tigers might run out of food. So in order to preserve the balance in the ecosystem, reproduction of all the species is necessary. So there needs to be a balance of organisms to carry out a smooth going through the food chain and the food web. So you will learn about all these concepts, that is, you will learn about the balance in the ecosystem, the concepts of food chain and food web in your higher classes. But just know that all the organisms should be present in a correct balance for things to go smoothly in an ecosystem. So this statement is right. Reproduction is seen in animals only. That is, reproduction is seen only in animals. Think about this for a moment. We can see that there are multiple types of plants all around us. Where do these plants come from? We know that these plants come from seeds. And where do the seeds come from? They come from mature plants of the same type. Okay? So plants, they reproduce through different mechanisms. One of them is through seeds. And reproduction is seen not only in animals but in all living beings. So this statement is wrong, and the corrected statement is reproduction is seen in all living beings. There will not be any danger in the environment by over-reproduction of a single organism. If a single species of organism has over-reproduction leads to sudden increase in the population of a single organism. Do you think there will be any danger to the environment? To think about this, let us take mosquitoes for our example. So if mosquitoes suddenly increase in our surroundings, they will definitely cause harm to the other organisms in that environment. For example, there might be increase in the spread of diseases. There is also a fight in between mosquitoes themselves to access food materials. So if there is a sudden increase in the number of mosquitoes, then they have to compete for resources such as food. So this means that there is a danger to the environment. Like I said before, there needs to be a balance when it comes to reproduction to make sure that things go on smoothly in an ecosystem and there is a smooth interaction between different organisms of an ecosystem. So this is wrong, and there will be adverse effects if there is over reproduction in a single organism. Over reproduction in a single organism. So these are about the different characteristics of reproduction. Here we have some animals carry out reproduction by laying eggs and some directly by giving birth to young ones. So list out the animals that lay eggs and those which directly give birth to young ones. So you can think about this. Let me make two columns. One is lay eggs and one is give birth. I have given a list of 3 animals in the 2 categories. You can think of more examples and add to this list. This is the end of this video. In the next video, we will consider reproduction in plants. I will see you all in the next video.